Episode 140. That really gets under my skin. I recently fired the guy that I hired to mow my lawn. Yeah, he just didn't cut it. I think I used that one before, but yeah, it comes with the dad territory, recycling jokes. Hello and welcome to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki G. I'm here to inform, entertain, and delight your ear holes with all things off-road for the next 10 minutes or so. Why 10 minutes? Well, the shtick's getting old. Today is the day I retire the shtick, for at least this episode, maybe next episode, until I can come up with some more 10-minute jokes. Get your mind out of the gutter, guys. Alright, before we start the show, I need to go over some legal boilerplate mumbo jumbo, but I don't have to because I have enslaved AI interns, so take it away, enslaved AI interns.
You're listening to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast, the podcast for the off-roader with a short attention span.
Got something to say? We would love to hear from you. Just contact the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast at 10minuteoffroad@gmail.com. That's 10minuteoffroad@gmail.com. Or leave a comment on our YouTube channel.
You can listen to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on whatever the hell you're listening to it on now, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Odyssey, Podbean, Pocket Cast, Podchaser, and iHeartRadio, or through our website, 10minuteoffroad.com.
You can follow the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, but never TikTok.
Thank you very much, enslaved AI interns. You're worth every penny of it. All right, on this episode, I want to talk about all things creepy crawly. It's springtime here in North Carolina, almost into summer, and the bugs are out. They're out in force. Unfortunately, here in North Carolina, off-road means going through the woods where there's all kinds of insects, bugs, creepy crawlies. In the winter, they're not so bad. In the springtime, they're horrible. So I want to talk a little bit about bugs and what to do about them. So a few of the bugs we have here in North Carolina. The most annoying, the biting midges or the no-see-ums. They're little gnats. They bite you. They're so small you can hardly see them. They leave a little itchy welt, sort of like a mosquito. Which brings me to mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are bad here in North Carolina. I guess because we have so much humidity and standing water. Then you have deer flies and the horse flies. And the black flies, also known as buffalo gnats. They're smaller than a housefly, but bigger than a mosquito. And mayflies, which are like little annoying gnats. Then we have all kinds of various little gnats and stuff. Then we have the stinging insects like the yellow jackets, the wasps, and the hornets. And my favorite, ticks and chiggers. We have a lot of ticks here and chiggers. They hang out in the tall grass. And they're just waiting for somebody to walk by for them to jump on. This is something I didn't know. Chiggers are the biting larvae of a type of mite. I did not know that. So, it makes sense that they're annoying all through their life. And I got a problem with chiggers. Chiggers find me delicious. I can go out in the woods, and if there's a chigger out there, it'll find me. I always, whenever I go out in the woods, I always come home with at least one chigger bite on me. And then we have the spiders. The four biting spiders that we have here in North Carolina. We have the black widow, of course, everybody knows. It's the gloss black spider with the hourglass on it. Then we have brown recluse, which is a small brown spider with a violin-shaped marking on its back. And they prefer secluded, dry places. So, you can't come across them in the woods. I have never come across a brown recluse. I've seen tons and tons of black widows, but never a brown recluse. Then we have wolf spiders. This past weekend, I just saw a huge wolf spider about as big as my hand. They're not venomous, but they could bite. And not a problem unless you're allergic to them. And then yellow sac spiders, which I don't like the name of that. I don't know if I've ever seen one. I've seen thousands and thousands of different types of spiders. But they're pale yellow or beige and bite defensively when disturbed, leaving a painful, itchy red mark. It usually subsides in a few days. I don't think I've ever seen one, so I couldn't tell you anything about it. Or if I have seen it, didn't know what the heck it was. Usually when I come across a spider in my house, it's a dead spider. If it's out in the woods or out somewhere, I'll leave it alone, let it be. But when I'm in the woods, I'm a guest in your house, so I'm nice. When you're in my house, you're an uninvited guest, and you will meet Mr. Shoe pretty quick. So what can you do to avoid these pesky little bugs? Well, try to avoid standing water, which in North Carolina is hard, especially when you're camping and you find that nice riverside or creekside spot. There's going to be standing water around. And even if you're not near a creek, old tree stumps and holes in the ground where trees used to be leave standing water. You just can't get away from standing water. Just face it, mosquitoes are a way of life. Try to avoid vegetation. Dense brush and tall grass are a hiding spot for insects. And if you're hiking, try to stay in the center of the trail to avoid brushing against foliage where ticks hang out. That's always a good idea for me. I try to avoid tall grass, mainly because in North Carolina we have snakes. We have 3 or 4 venomous snakes, and then even if they're not venomous, I don't want to run across a snake. Mainly because I'm not too familiar with snakes, and I have a hard time telling them apart. I could tell a copperhead, but I can't tell a copperhead from a hognose snake, which looks similar. Coral snake and a scarlet king snake look very similar. One's poisonous, one's not. There's an old Boy Scout rhyme that I can never remember. I think if red touches yellow, dead to a fellow. Red touches black, friend of Jack, or who knows. But I ain't got no time for nursery rhymes when I see a snake. And funny story, I was sitting on a bucket one time, relieving myself, and a snake come crawling right past my feet, almost over top of my feet. And it was a scarlet king snake. At the time I didn't know, but I'm on a bucket, terrified, trying to remember the old rhyme, and I couldn't. So I just stayed quietly still since he was going by, and when he was gone, I was very relieved. And still to this day, you think that would burn something into my mind about the rhyme, but I don't know. I can't tell a snake apart. You know, the only snake I could positively identify is a rattlesnake. So another good key thing to keep bugs at bay is seal all your food. They're attracted to food smells, or some are. And avoid heavily scented products like deodorants or body sprays. You're out in the woods camping or off-roading. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Usually you're covered in sweat and smoke and all other kinds of weird stuff. When you're off-roading or out in the woods, stinky is a way of life. You just kind of embrace it. A lot of things you could do to keep mosquitoes at bay or bugs at bay is a campfire. And smoke in general trigger the survival instincts in insects, and they want to flee. They think the forest is on fire. Either way, smoke triggers a retreat response in most bugs. There are specialized products like mosquito barrier, which is a garlic concentrate you spray on your site. I think I'd rather live with the bug bites than to spray garlic all over the place. Although I am Italian, and the smell of cooking garlic is an aphrodisiac to me. Well, that's something for a different podcast. Good old classic like a citronella candle. The research I found on it, there's no scientific proof that it does anything. It's more of a myth, I guess. Bug zappers are another myth. They mostly kill beneficial insects like moths rather than biting mosquitoes. But you know what? A moth buzzing around your head is just as friggin' annoying as a mosquito. Now on to chemicals. The best wearable chemical that I've come across, and some of the research I've seen aligns with that, is permethrin. It's a synthetic insecticide that mimics the flowers and actually paralyzes or kills insects like ticks and mosquitoes on contact. The crucial rule is to never apply it to your skin. You spray it on your clothes, boots, and tents, let it dry completely, and it remains effective through about 6 washings or 6 weeks. I've been using this for years. I hang my clothes up about a week before I go out on a trip. I spray my clothes down, let it dry. I pay really good attention to my socks and boots. And this past camping trip, I brought a bottle with me and I sprayed it on my tent when I had my tent set up and I let it dry. And I was out on a 2-night, 3-day trip. And on the last day when I woke up, I could see the silhouette of 1,000 daddy long-legged spiders. They're just covering my tent. No other bugs, no other type of bugs. So somehow, daddy longlegs are impermeable to paraffin. Maybe it's their legs that don't really, I don't know the thing about it, but there's a bunch on there. I brushed them off, and as I'm trying to pack up my tent, they're like running back to my tent. So maybe they're attracted to the permethrin. Who knows, but daddy longlegs don't bother me because I know they don't bite and they're pretty harmless, although I don't want any crawling on me while I sleep. But luckily they were outside the tent. The gazelle tent is pretty sealed up and keeps things out. All right, DEET, good old DEET, the gold standard for over 60 years. It works by confusing a bug's odor receptors so they cannot detect your body scent. I use DEET, the 99% DEET, not the 24 or the 4% or the other watered down. I know they cost more, but the 100% DEET really gets the bugs. I don't put it on my skin. I spray it on my clothes. Picaridin, or Picaridin, Picaridin. I've never heard of it before, but it's a synthetic compound that closely mimics the natural plant extracts and is odorless, non-greasy, and less likely to irritate your skin. Can't talk about it, never used it. I'm old-fashioned DEET 100% all the way. Oil of lemon eucalyptus. Never heard of that either. That sounds like some hippie Momo Jumbo plant-based alternative that provides protection similar to a lower concentration of DEET. So if it's not as good as DEET, then why use it? Because, DEET is it. IR 3535. That's a new one for me too. I've never heard of it before, but it's a synthetic amino acid derivative that is typically odorless, greaseless, and very gentle on the skin. Again, it's not DEET, so I don't care about it. You could use DEET, Picaridin, and IR 3535 on both skin and clothing. Okay, some good advice to applying bug spray is to apply sunscreen first, let it absorb, and then layer the insect repellent on top of that. And again, permethrin is a distinct class of repellent that is strictly for treating clothing and gear, not your skin. It kills ticks and mosquitoes on contact and lasts for several washes. All right, now moving on to the electronic repellers like the Thermacell. Do those things actually work? I don't know, but the research I've found on it says they do, but have limits. They create a protection zone, usually around 15 feet. They are fantastic for stationary activities like sitting around a picnic table or a campfire, but they aren't as effective if you're moving around or in a heavy breeze. And then there's also, if you're being really bothered by bugs, you can wear a head net. And if you do, please take pictures because I think that's too geeked out. I would rather suffer through the bug bites. If you're being bothered by bugs, a good tip I didn't think about, but I read online when I was researching about this, is a fan. If you have a fan blowing on you, bugs can't fight the breeze, and so they can't bother you. So that's a good idea. If bugs are bothering you, set up a camping fan. Just have that breeze blowing on you. All right, so if you've been out in the woods and you just got home, within 2 hours by the time you arrive home, you should check yourself for hitchhikers, ticks, bugs, and any kind of things. Usually when I'm out in the woods, off-roading, camping, whatever, I'm coming home, I'm dusty, dirty, smelly. First thing I do is I jump in the shower. And it's usually per my wife's request. As soon as I walk in the door, it's in the tub with you. Give myself a good check for ticks and bugs and stuff. And again, that's probably going to give you a nice visual, and you're probably not going to be able to sleep tonight. So in conclusion, there's no magic bullet for dealing with bugs. It's more of a combination 1-2 punch thing. Trying to stay away from bug-infested areas. Use the right repellent. Do what works for you. And if you have any ideas or anything that I haven't touched on, let me know. I'd love to talk about them sometime. So I've just about rambled on long enough. As always, this is Nicky G saying, "Will what you got and be happy."